We, the idiots who are baffled by Batwoman, do solemnly swear to take you into this tale of madness, stupidity, and stock footage.
Just repeat to yourself, hey, it's just a show. I should really just relax. For mystery science theater 3000.
Welcome to Journey into Mystery, everyone, and oh god.
Wow.
Oh, this movie.
Fair warning, most of what I'm going to talk about today is a tangentially related Vincent Price film.
Well, somehow this movie doesn't give you much to work with.
Which you'd really think a movie based around this concept would be rife with material, but no.
No, I mean, there's a very good reason that the sketches in this episode of Mystery Science have nothing to do with Batwoman.
Yeah, they're all about the
cheating short.
The cheating short, yes.
Which let's go ahead and start with that. I mean, this is definitely a case where the short outshines.
On almost every level. I mean, certainly in sound production.
Yeah. Well, I mean, societal conformity shorts are just a minefield of comedy.
Especially since
the Young America films in particular are just fantastic sources of...
Well, because apparently the entire frickin' Cold War balanced on the honesty of every student council president.
Oh, just I love how overdramatic it is.
I don't think
dumb.
You're going to want to come to this meeting. It's about you.
I think that's the kid from the party.
Yeah.
That same slack-jawed kid from the Cindy Goes to a Party.
Yeah, I bet he is. I'm kind of twangy.
I thought about it, that kind of twangy, kind of a little slow on the uptick.
I'm really just hoping to be an extra on Gunsmoke. That's why I moved out here.
Yeah, I didn't bother to look because I wasn't too keen. I kind of wish we had credits for these shorts, because they've got a rotating cast of multiple pairs of air quotes actors.
And it's not just because every Cindy looks the same.
Yeah.
Because the Cindys do blur after a while.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always Cindy, isn't it? Like, it's Susan and Cindy and occasionally
and
Janet.
Yeah.
Said like that, accusingly.
No, there was a Barbara.
Barbara. Yes.
Barbara. I really do... Like, everybody's staring at John as he slowly trudges up to be shot by the teacher.
Oh, yeah.
After the note, and everybody's like, oh, you're scum. Who gives a in the real world?
Children in these shorts never have the appropriate level of contempt for authority to be accurate to reality. Because dude's popular and handsome. If anything, this is just going to raise his cred.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations, you went from being square to being Parker Lewis.
I love the idea that he's so racked with guilt over his successful cheating.
Oh, yeah.
That he envisions Miss Granby bodiless over his bed. Did you really, John? They're coming to get you.
And the thing is like a person who at the time of being in school did not realize I had an anxiety disorder, but now in retrospect everything makes so much more sense. I can understand the kind of like, has someone noticed that I've done something wrong? Oh no. Everything now is important. Every one of these grades matters.
They don't.
No, they don't. I think that's why so many, like, teen lit books are about like repressive regimes, because basically that's what you're dealing with as a teenager anyway.
Pretty much.
Bunch of people peddling lies to you about shit that doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
It's more about molding you into the workforce where you will be quiet and not question things.
If you think everyone around you is a snitch, you're gonna be a snitch.
I'm not really kidding.
But yeah, whole thing's rife with Cold War propaganda, and I do remind everyone that every human being on the planet was probably suffering from lead poisoning at the time.
Hmm.
So, yeah, the whole country was literally insane. But at least it produced an interesting short with a lot of fun riffing.
Yeah. I do like that in the sketch, they briefly bring up, why doesn't the accused get to defend himself? Like, it's just one instance of, hey, can you help me with an answer? And all of a sudden, boom, he's out. He is a pariah. He is worse than dog crap.
And he's being tried in absentia.
Yeah.
He doesn't get to defend himself. He doesn't get to go on about how he's under a lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, he cheated, but, he thought it was the only way to keep things going, because he doesn't have an appropriate support staff in his role as student council president, apparently.
Yeah. Or parents.
Or parents. He doesn't even have parents at all. The only person who cares about him is some guy who just wants to be an extra on Gunsmoke.
Mary cared, because she gave him the answer.
Yeah, poor Mary. Mary's kind of a sap.
Yeah. I do like they posed the question, and what of his classmates? Did John's cheating hurt them in any way?
No.
Not
No,
really. No. Well, okay, possibly in that Miss Granby probably got really paranoid and started really cracking the whip on everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not really on John, is it?
No, and the other thing is that they're establishing, like, well, it's unfair to the other people who earned their grades. Well, sure, kinda, but again, what's fairness matter in a system that doesn't matter?
Yeah, it's...
I'm feeling really anarchist today because my hand hurts.
My hand hurts.
Yeah, hand hurts now. It's like, it just takes a slight bit of physical discomfort at this point to just push me fully over into anarchy. And
is it unfair? Well, maybe, but on the other hand, once you leave school, you can look shit up.
Yeah, none of this is gonna matter. And
yeah, you could... That was the thing that hell, that slayed me when I was in school. I'm like, look, when I get home, I can just look this shit up. We've got encyclopedias. We have I have a calculator.
Before the advent of like cheap personal calculators, I can understand, because complex mathematics, you either had to know how to do it or you were at the mercy of someone else who did.
Yeah.
But once you got the ability to use a calculator, I mean, the thing that we keep on hearing from people who are actually in like high level math is like, yes, we always use the calculators, because why would we use our mental capacity for the easy stuff?
Well, I mean, even then, you're thinking, would you be under that kind of time strain even before calculators? Because these were math tests, I believe.
Yeah, and high-level math tests, as I understand it. Something in the geometry range. It's not like it's balancing your checkbook type stuff.
Yeah.
But...
And if that is your employ, you will generally have a little time to figure that out and not be in a test and not have to do as many at once, more likely.
The thing is, we do have a slightly different view of it, looking back, because we know that within, 10 years there were cheap calculators.
Yeah.
And
well, I'm saying even without cheap calculators, once you got outside the school system, the pressure wasn't there.
Yeah. Also, accountancy was a much bigger deal back then. I mean, you didn't have computers to do most of it, so I imagine that a lot of businesses employed a lot of accountants. So that was probably what they were mainly. You took math to train to be an accountant back then.
Point is, smash the state.
Yes, burn the system down.
That is our.
Yeah.
Smash. I just chanted Tabby for a second there.
And now YouTube's new check the transcript of your vocal recording algorithm is going to demonetize us like crazy.
Oh, it does that anyway.
Oh yeah.
Literally, every one of these we have. I tweeted this through the Rangoon out. Literally every one of these podcasts comes back, well, this isn't friendly to all advertisers, and then I send the appeal, and within 24 hours, the appeal has been gone through, and it's back to full monetization. Not that we make much on this channel, but still,
yeah,
it's the principle of the thing, and smash the state.
Yeah, smash the state. One of the things that I was, and I will take a brief thing to be aggrieved on behalf of my people. I'm gonna be like this. One of the YouTubers, Mr. Atheist, recently did a series of tests, and atheist is in the YouTube not friendly for advertisers bot check as a keyword.
Of course,
because he made a vlog post that was all about dieting, and he uploaded it multiple times and tested it with different combinations of stuff in the description, stuff in the key phrasing and everything. But that's a I mean, we know that they've been doing it for also to LGBTQ topics.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there seems to me it's strongly problematic that protected groups under the law, I mean, recognized as minority groups who have civil rights protections, the very nature of those topics being in an instant demonetization. That's not a good look for YouTube.
No, well, YouTube doesn't have good looks anymore.
No, it doesn't.
And smash the state.
And smash the state.
Smash the state of YouTube.
Smash the state of YouTube. Yeah, the meme industrial complex must burn. But
we will be warned by the fires of all those procedural generation impreg Spider-Man kid videos.
You know,
as they burn in the night.
As a kid, I read like cyberpunk stories and dystopian sci-fi and all kinds of stuff, and I was not prepared for how stupid the apocalypse was. We're just like,
and smash the state. I don't know that there's all that much more to say about the short. It's nice and peppy.
It is one of the. I would say it's one of the best. Like, I don't know how to put this. The combination of the riff and all the sketches that grow from it forms a chunk of Mystery Science mythos.
Yeah,
and it's like that. Like this one is
I
like
think I see where you're going with that.
Is like next to the whole like the oeuvre de Crankor in terms of like goodness to me. Yeah, because like occasionally it's not just the riff; it's the riff and everything that grows out of it, the running gags and stuff.
Mike is probably the weakest part of that, but this is still really early in his run, so I think they were still trying to establish who he was. But the bots, all of the bots are on fire. They've
Servo with his barely restrained hostility.
Yeah, first his nerdery.
Yeah,
because let's face it, Tom is a gigantic nerd.
Yeah.
Kevin Tom is a gigantic nerd.
Yeah, Kevin Tom is a gigantic nerd, yeah.
And then Crow is the smart one who doesn't apply himself.
Right, yeah.
And then we have Gypsy who runs the gamut pretty well between nice and, I love to fry him! He copied my friggin' paper!
She runs from like perfectly nice to bloodthirsty to just peeved. Just, come on!
Oh, that's good. Shunning is hard.
I
Yeah, Mike doesn't fare too well in this one, which is kind of sad. But I think this is what, like their third episode with him in it, I
yeah,
believe.
it's early in, and it's not like he's bad. It's just they don't quite know
No.
what to do with him. But it does give the bots a good chance to shine.
Mm-hmm. You do get a few good reactions out of it, especially when Tom suddenly just explodes into rage and Mike just kind of sits there and closes his eyes and puts his finger to his ear and like massages the tympanic membrane.
Yeah.
Although the blackjack sketch is funny.
Hmm.
I still to this day every now and then it's just hit me, hit me, hit me, hit me.
Oh, so
The
Batwoman.
wild. This movie hurts.
Oh yeah,
I would have a hard time qualifying it as a movie.
Wild Wild World of Batwoman is an example of a stunted, repulsive, troll-like genre of film, which we will call the surf comedy. Now, typically, the surf comedy is identifiable by the presence of Frankie Avalon, or
Which is horrific in itself.
a Diet Coke Frankie Avalon, which even this film failed to get. But the other thing it has is 60s chicks in bikinis, which this does have. What this doesn't have is any kind of reasonable connection to Batman by way of parody.
No, this is, well, I did some research, and by that I mean I looked at Wikipedia
Always a good step.
on Jerry Warren.
Okay.
And reading about him, I am frankly shocked that there were not more Jerry Warren films on Mystery Science.
Really?
Because okay, I'm just going to read this verbatim. I copied and pasted this one. After creating and distributing several of his own films, Warren found that producing original features from scratch required entirely too much effort. So he began buying and distributing foreign-made films through his own distribution company.
Very Sandy Frank.
He kind of pulled a bit of a Godfrey Ho.
Oh, so he did like the redubbing and repackaging and
Yes. And in fact, he does that with Batwoman. There are chunks of the hold-up scene at the beginning of this movie is not something he shot.
Oh.
There's a reason it feels so utterly disconnected to anything in the movie because it was from another movie.
Ah.
A movie shot in Sweden, near as we can tell, because there's a sign in Swedish in the background of a couple of the shots.
Well, it's like, God, like filmmaking.
And also, Southern California doesn't really have any place with that kind of cobblestone road.
Yeah, yeah. It's like filmmaking in the past is like crime in the past. It must have been so much easier when you could just do shit and no one had any way of catching you.
Yeah, but several of the Rat Fink shots are very blatantly from a Mexican wrestler movie.
Right, yeah.
And I want to say that of course, Mole People.
Yeah, and the footage from the Mole People, yeah.
Which I do admit, I like how he tried to make it seem like that was oh look, there's Professor Neon and the others, they're up ahead of us. And you see the shot of John Agar and I guess Hugh Beaumont and Nestor Paiva from the Mole People. So you've got there's three people there, but they're wearing entirely different outfits. They're not wearing the same style of outfits that we see in the cave sequence with Professor Neon and them later.
Okay, yeah.
So you tried.
Yeah.
You get that little. Okay, you get a bronze. You tried Comic Sans sticker.
The thing is
you
like
don't get gold for that.
Technology has made this much easier because I have actually considered doing with our vast knowledge of public domain stock footage, just putting together new movies with shots from shit and redubbing. But
Yeah, apparently Warren wanted to realize that the Batman 66 show was popular and wanted to try and do something with that. But Batwoman was his last movie for quite a while.
Wow.
It was his second to last movie. Batwoman was the last one until 1981's Frankenstein Island,
Huh.
which was effectively a remake of one of his earlier films.
Weird.
And I believe Riff Trax has done that one.
Huh. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to read this quote verbatim. Warren said in a 1988 interview with Tom Weaver, "I'd shoot one day on this stuff and throw it together. I was in the business to make money. I never ever tried in any way to compete or to make something worthwhile. I only did enough to get by, so they would buy it, so it would play, and so I'd get a few dollars. It's not very fair to the public, I guess, but that was my attitude. You didn't have to go all out and make a really good picture."
Yeah, and that attitude shines on every frame
Yep.
of Wild Wild World of Batwoman.
Yeah, it's kind of he's one of the various precursors to the Asylum.
Yeah. Yeah. But without, like, that star-making Corman magic.
Yeah. Yeah, Corman cared. Corman was a cheap schlockmeister, but there was a degree of care and craft.
Yeah, you get the feeling that the main thing that separated Corman from the really big directors was budget. That
Well, no, Corman is also just not very good.
Well, yeah,
talent is also.
Yeah, he wasn't great, but there are big name movies made by people who are sub Corman in ability, I would say.
No, that's fair.
But mainly it was like he was just. It's kind of easy to sympathize with him because he's a try-hard who's just battering against his projects and just trying to get big over and over.
Well, he was. Eventually he hit a point where he knew what he was, because his more recent he still produces effectively the same thing.
Right. Yeah. I was building towards a thing where I build a parallel between Corman and ourselves. But, that's neither here nor there. Batwoman. Someone's sexy aunt. Now.
Yeah. Catherine Victor. Looking her up, there was something weird about her that I found out.
Oh.
She worked in various capacities, generally as a continuity director on a number of Disney animated films and cartoons from other studios like Filmation.
Okay, that is not where I expected that to go.
No. And I was like, wait, no, that can't be right. And so I looked up her obituary.
Huh.
Like her official obituary. And no, apparently that's true. She went into the animation business and was like a continuity checker for Filmation of all things.
God, because...
Now, sadly, the obituary page I'm looking at, her photo is of her in the Batwoman costume, which is just not. That is not a good way to remember
the poor
somebody.
Woman some dignity.
No. She give her some dignity, because yes, this was dumb, and apparently she knew this was dumb, and she knew. I mean, she's been in a bunch of Warren films, and she didn't really like any of them, but a paycheck's a paycheck.
Right.
Also, at the very end, the very, very end of the movie, when the girls are dancing and the one guy's in the pool and the one girl's like, oh, no, bad acting, oh no, help him.
Yeah.
And Batwoman just gets this look of, oh, fuck this, and walks away.
Uh-huh.
I am convinced that's not acting. Catherine Victor is not that great an actress to depict that level of done with this shit.
Okay.
Because we see her try to act in a few of these scenes, and it's not good. But that look of, oh God, what am I doing here? is so genuine. I love it. It endears me to her so much.
Batwoman is amazing because, one, she has no motivation. She has no demonstrated abilities. She's just kind of a kind of sexy older lady who likes to dress up in a weird bat costume and be attended by a bunch of women.
A bunch of very obedient women.
Very obedient women. Maybe it's a whole Nexium thing. Like maybe that's what Chloe from Smallville has been dealing with all this time. I don't know, but yeah,
she doesn't really display any kind of powers or anything until the very end when she pulls out the magic gun.
Well,
Linkara reference, blah blah.
Yeah,
and the magic gun that can undo chains, and then she undoes Ratfink's body duplicator, and that's it.
Yeah.
So she has the power to pull solutions out of her ass at the last minute.
A slightly more capable than average cult leader is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Because clearly this is just a weird sex cult that the police have decided arbitrarily is a crime-fighting unit.
Well, they have the seance. Well, the police aren't ever involved in anything in this one, is the weird thing.
No, they aren't.
There's not a cop in sight.
Maybe this is one of them lawless Scooby-Doo universes? Like, there are no cops?
Possibly, yeah. And then there's seance scene.
Oh, jeez.
The seance voice is Bob Arbogast, who voiced a whole bunch of characters in, like, Roger Ramjet and the Jetsons. Like, nobody major, but... And he was the original What Would You Do for a Klondike Bar voice.
Okay.
And here's the freaky one. He did voice work, a lot of uncredited voice work for very early Sesame Street, but was a character in a live-action series of sketches that was ultimately dropped before Sesame Street went to actual airing. There was a series called The Man from Alphabet, and it was a live-action, all-humans, like parody of cop shows. That was supposed to teach people, and the kid was of course, the child character was the real hero.
Okay.
But apparently, and Bob Arbogast was a major character in that. But then apparently, they showed it to test audiences and all that, and nobody liked it, and they thought it was confusing, and so that got dropped before Sesame Street even aired.
And this is the voice that's doing the racist Chinaman thing.
Yes.
Oh, Jesus. They have this entire, like... It is so painful, the seance scene. Because it's not...
It's clearly they thought the Ching Chong voice was funny, and they needed to pad the runtime, and they didn't have any more stock film to use.
Stretch.
Because this film is only about an hour long.
Yeah, this is not a whole lot going on in this film. And
fun fact, there are cuts.
They cut stuff out of this?
Not much, but they did cut stuff.
Okay.
In fact, just after the seance scene, there's a bit they cut, which is entirely unfunny and unnecessary, in which the whiny president of Ajax Corporation is begging the patent office guy, Bruno Vasoda, and they're just looking at these rings. Well, it looks like if this even gets a drop of cobalt on it, it will explode. Blah! And the guy who turns out to be Ratfink is just this whiny, please give me a tip. It's not a funny scene. It's just a bizarre little bit.
Your superhero movie circulates around a patent dispute. That's not
even really that.
Oh.
I'm not even sure why the patent office, the fact that it would explode. Like, I tried to pay attention. Like, I turned off the riffing and watched the original, and I was trying to follow what the plot was saying, but it just wasn't. I couldn't retain it.
No, it's like trying to watch a movie while getting flashed in the eyes by the MIBs every couple of seconds. It's just like the film just vanishes, and this is where I'm going to break to discuss surf comedies and what this film and Austin Powers are probably really based on. Now, in the 60s, surf culture was a big deal, or so we've been led to believe. I can't say that for sure. I'm currently hurting, so right now, conspiracy theories rule. This might just be the tricks of the Illuminati. But
Smash the state.
Smash the state. But what it comes around to is you had all these movies where there was wacky hijinks and surfing and rock and roll music and girls in bikinis dancing were the main focus. It was the pandering to the teenager market of the 60s. You know, it's all the stuff the kids are into, like pocket spinner, like, the little spinner toys.
Fortnites and the fidget spinners.
Fortnites and fidget spinners and communism. You know, all the stuff kids are into. And
the Fortnites.
Yeah, so the fun fact, there are only 2 surf comedies that are worth watching. And they're probably not worth watching in their entirety. But no one has yet made a Vincent Price only cut of Dr. Goldfoot and his Bikini Machine, or Dr. Goldfoot and the Girl Bombs. So you just kind of have to watch the whole things. And they do have actual Frankie Avalon in them.
If you're into that.
Well, I mean, if you're going to get a Frankie Avalon, you might as well get brand name and not knockoff.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, have a little
Frankie Avalon is not as good as the real deal.
Yeah, have some frickin' pride. If someone's going to shove Frankie Avalon in your face, you demand real Frankie Avalon, ethically sourced.
If you're going to eat processed potted meat food, maybe go with at least Spam, the brand name.
Yeah, you don't want to go with Treat. No, we've all been there and we all regret it.
Yeah.
But the only surf movies I've ever seen that were legitimately had funny stuff in them, because I won't say they're necessarily legitimately funny, but they had funny stuff in them, were the Dr. Goldfoot movies. And more than a parody
I mean, it's Price. That's kind of hard to not find something to like there.
Exactly. And the fun thing is like everyone remembers Austin Powers as a parody of like the James Bond movies, like the Sean Connery era of James Bond and The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and stuff. More than anything, the Austin Powers movies are a remake of Dr. Goldfoot and his Bikini Machine.
Yeah, the idea that it was a Bond thing never quite gelled with me.
Here's the plot of Dr. Goldfoot and his Bikini Machine in a nutshell. You have an evil doctor, Dr. Goldfoot, Vincent Price. He has created his Bikini Machine, which it does not in fact make bikinis, but instead makes bikini-clad androids who are in gold bikinis when they first come out of the machine. His sinister plan is to marry them off to the 1%, and then once they've been married to the 1%, the android kills her husband, inherits their money, and then gives it to Dr. Goldfoot.
So far, I am 100% with this plan.
Yeah.
I'm down. I will back this Kickstarter.
Yeah, the plot of Dr. Goldfoot and his Bikini Machine and the Girl Bombs is exactly the same, except the girls now just have a bomb in them to make it easier. They cuts out several steps.
If they're androids, I'm not so much into that one.
Yeah. And the whole thing is Frankie Avalon is a secret agent from a department that has a ridiculous acronym. And there's hijinks and running around and chase scenes and a trolley chase in San Francisco, which you never see in modern movies, but is really fun, actually. And a lot of witty banter between Dr. Goldfoot and his assistant named Igor.
Of course.
Best line of Dr. Goldfoot and the Bikini Machine is something along lines of, Igor, why do you always do what I say when I'm wrong?
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, no. And like this
Oh.
Wild World Batwoman is trying harder to be Dr. Goldfoot in his bikini machine than it is to be Dr. Batman. No.
Yeah.
You know, it is trying to be Batman. And because you've got the bikini girls
It's a
dancing
flimsy excuse just to have the girls bouncing around.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Except,
tell you what, the main girl that they call 14 and who's usually in the cougar print, astonishingly terrible actress.
oh yeah, they are remarkable.
I mean, she's bad even for this movie. I mean, oh yikes a Rooney. I love that there's early on when they're all sitting around the living room, it's like, I think we should dispense with roll call as per, she goes on to this, and I think we should dispense with roll call. That's just so they don't have to establish any of the girls, or give them names or personality traits, or waste any of time with that shit.
A testament to how inept this movie is that this is, like, conceptually my type of movie. Like, if you were like...
You admit to this.
Oh, I am shameless about this. If you came to me and said, hey, Trent, we got this movie. It's about a sexy bat lady and her cult of obedient, young women in bikinis fighting crime in lurid positions.
And the leader is a woman of a certain age.
Yeah, and did we mention she's a MILF? Like, does she have a Jersey accent or maybe big hair? I'm in. But,
I don't know if you'd quite call that big hair. I think you might call it was caught in a wind tunnel.
She has a certain je ne sais Peg Bundy. And, honestly, mathematically, I should be into it. But this movie is so bad, I can't be. That's very frustrating to me.
I really love, watch when the guy from the Ajax company first comes in, the vice president, who is, by the way, Steve Brody. You would know Steve Brody as Dr. Vance from the Giant Spider Invasion.
Wow.
So this is a young, leather-faced...
Wow.
So compare... I'm going to put up a side-by-side of Steve Brody in this, and Steve Brody in Giant Spider Invasion, and just weep.
Yes.
I'm going to cry for about an hour, and pray that never happens to me, because it's not like Steve Brody is bad-looking when he was younger, but yikes what he turned into. But no, in the very beginning, when Steve Brody shows up and Batwoman's playing the organ, I say playing the organ, she is moving her hands up and down, never changing keys.
Well, I mean,
She's
when you
not
really
even
know
doing
how to play the organ, you don't have to change keys.
You just play those same 9 notes, and that's it. You don't have to move left or right. The hand just moves. It's amazing. The villains in this, well, first of all, I continue to baffle at the idea that Tiger, who vaguely reminds me of the guy who plays Lister in Red Dwarf, he's got that kind of squish face.
Yeah, yeah.
But, like, early, they bring in Batwoman and say, hey, and I've got chocolate milk and macaroons. What? What age group is this?
What?
Okay, it's for the 13-year-olds, but the 13-year-olds aren't going to go, oh boy, chocolate milk.
I don't know, man.
I don't get the villain, the Ratfink situation. Now, I realize that saying
our
this
subtitle.
movie does not make sense when you try and... I realize that this is a fool's errand, and I am a fool for going here.
Okay, yeah.
And this has brought out the very nature why we even do this to question, and now I'm going into an existential pit of despair. But I'm going to forge ahead.
Remember, the absurdist hero is the one that recognizes that the universe is absurd and is ridiculous in response. Go!
All right. Ratfink is one of Batwoman's, well, as far as we know, Batwoman's only recurring foe.
Right.
She has a history. They established this.
Mm-hmm.
He is a dumpy old man who works for an Ajax company whose main drive is he gets off on listening to telephone conversations.
Yeah.
So he invented the atomic-powered hearing aid to do this. What?
And he has to steal it from himself.
No, wait, let me. What in the sweaty hell was he doing before this movie to make him Batwoman's #1 nemesis, if there are any others? What is the history of his crimes if the whole thing was just about peeping in on telephone conversations?
Everything my brain comes up with is horrible. I'm not just talking about in this situation, but especially right now.
Like, that's his biggest crime is he wants to listen in on phone conversations.
Well, maybe he established a series of supervillainous pre-crimes as cover for his actual activities.
I don't know.
Sort of like how the Isle of Rangoon is a massive cover for whatever the hell it is that I'm into.
I realize that everything is just a pretext to have women running around in bikinis. And to be wacky and have hijinks. Can you at least respect us to put a little effort into your pandering?
Oh my god, I just realized they had to have picked Batwoman based on her acting ability.
Yeah.
Because there were so many...
Oh, by the way, that's another thing that was cut when I was talking about women, running around in bikinis.
Mm-hmm.
The everybody's chasing duplicate Ratfink sequence was longer.
Wow.
They carved about 30 seconds or so, maybe a minute out of that.
I've had root canals that were shorter than that.
Yeah, they carved about 30 seconds out of it, but it felt like about 6 months.
Wow.
And that's when you can really see how Catherine Victor is not a good actress, because she has that look of... And it is kind of... Now, I will say it is kind of amusing to watch all the actors who clearly have had no stage direction whatsoever. You've just got a dozen people on stage, and it's just like, okay, and chase. And every now and then you get people who clearly don't know what the hell they're going to do in the next 3 seconds. So everyone's just flailing.
It's crazy because I've seen the scenes that you're talking about, not the ones they cut, obviously. No. Yeah. One of these days I will watch the uncut version of something or other, but it's not going to be
days,
Wild Batwoman.
I'm making you watch the uncut version of one of these movies, goddammit.
Oh, I will.
I will not be the only one suffering this.
Oh, can it be like...
I will pick a turd, too.
Well, great.
Fuck you.
It is what I deserve, to be honest. But
fuck you and the Norse you rode in on.
But, like, they had to have picked her based on her acting ability.
I think they picked her just because she would say yes for a paycheck. Like I said, she'd been in a bunch of Jerry Warren's things.
But they had a bunch of other girls who were younger and fitter. And just... She just like, okay, I am not in any way being ageist because my preferences actually run towards the Batwoman, oddly enough. Cruella de Vil hair and all. But it's just strange because it's like okay, we've got 30 girls who look like they should be in a beach comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got someone's kinda hot aunt. And that's the one that we're going to put in the humiliating mask, and I'm pretty sure it was painted the bat symbol on her tits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which doesn't, and that's, admittedly, that's a better looking bat than the one that's on the wall. In some of the sequences, there's just this giant picture of a cartoon bat that looks like it was done by a 6-year-old.
Yeah, and they're supposed to be kinda maybe vampires?
We're vampires in a synthetic sense.
Just...
And speaking of acting / actor choices, Dr. Neon and Heathcliff.
Well...
I hate them both.
Well, you should. You very rightly should.
This is another instance of absolutely serendipitous chance that we have two movies in a row that both have a Kids in the Hall look-alike. Because the guy who plays Heathcliff is a dead ringer for Scott Thompson.
Yeah, I'm just imagining the Venn diagram of our viewers and our viewers that are familiar with Kids in the Hall.
I would hope that they're familiar with Kids in the Hall. The Kids in the Hall was great for about 4 seasons.
In what
that
decade?
Last season kind of got terrible.
In the 1990s.
Yeah. But, I mean, not only that, but we also continue the monkey streak because Heathcliff is doing the monkey... But just the idea that people were supposed to find them funny.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a great... I think it was this movie. Every now and then I just, severely turn down the... Sometimes I watch these, like, literally... I've got 2 screens, and I'm watching one on one screen and one on the other, and I'm trying to sync them. Mm-hmm. So that they're almost playing identical, just so I can really be sure where the cuts are, because sometimes I stop paying attention. Because these movies hurt me.
Oh, it's really easy to stop paying attention during Batwoman.
It's hard to not stop paying attention. It kind of actively pushes you out. But I'm pretty sure there was a line in this one, and it's not a great line, but it is, true. This is what happens when the guy who thinks he's a hoot is put in a movie. The guy who's not funny, but damn it, he's trying...
Yeah, that one rang true. That one rang really true.
It's also worth pointing out that Dr. Neon is what Dr. Forrester could very well have been.
Yeah, I was going to bring up the Dr. Neon, Dr. Forrester similarities.
Yeah. And I realize why they wouldn't want to, bring too much attention to that, but Dr. Forrester dialed it back, thankfully. Mm-hmm. Trace knew that there was a point where you went too far.
Well, oddly, you know what Dr. Neon reminded me of?
Death?
Well, yeah, but in Far Cry 3, the video game, the vidya game,
mm-hmm.
You get taken in by this... You land on this island that's run by pirates, and you get taken in by this dude who is a chemist who is, of course, cooking drugs on the island.
Oh, of course.
That's Dr. Neon.
As you do.
It's just like... Because what does he come... He invented ecstasy. That's what he's giving... They're talking about happy pills. That's pills. E. He's giving them E.
Yeah, and he's putting it in hot soup. Hot soup. I'd forgotten that, and that is only funny to me thanks to TMNT.
Hot soup.
It's a tiny, stupid universe,
and everybody goes nuts for hot soup.
Yep.
Hot soup!
And if this were the rise of the TMNT universe, I would not question it.
No, this makes perfect. Like this fits perfectly into that universe. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, in the 1960s, there was this woman running around with a bat painted on her breasts, calling herself
Yeah.
Batwoman, and she had a cult of
That's how
lesbians.
you make this movie better. You put it in the Rise of the TMNT universe. You put in a couple of legit action sequences. Oh man, that would be great. Lou Jitsu and Batwoman together,
Oh wow,
doing
yeah,
crazy batshit ladder fights.
indeed.
Oh, oh, that would be, and it absolutely fits. Yeah, because you've got the Jupiter Gym stuff that's straight out of schlock '60s,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and Atomic Lab. Yeah, Batwoman would fit perfectly into there. Now I'm sad.
It's not just now.
Yeah, now I'm sadder.
Oh man. The thing is like as bad as this movie is, it has a pretty good riff, and
Yeah.
the spectacle,
This would be unwatchable
if not
this
riffed.
wasn't, yeah. Well, it would be unwatchable unriffed, but I think, like, I can't help but compare this to, say, Catalina Caper,
Mm-hmm.
which, yeah, the comedies, the stuff that's supposed to want to be funny is harder to riff in general.
Mm-hmm.
And Catalina Caper is one that I'm not a fan of.
Right.
It was kind of, I won't say it was a downslide into 3, but it was definitely, they didn't have the chops to tackle it at the time.
Yeah.
And
Well,
really, the saving grace of this episode is that this is right around the time when the writing crew was really strong. Like I said, season 5, both the Joel and the Mike parts are some really strong riffing and writing and sketch work.
now we might actually disagree on this, but I actually think the part of the fun of this one, and one of the reasons you'd want to use it as want to watch it as an MST, is just the raw spectacle of the utter
Yeah.
wrongness
Well,
of the movie.
well, well. Like I said, it becomes much more bearable with this really strong riff, with the strong writing and the strong sketch, and this, like I said, the opening short buoys it a lot.
Yeah.
I
But
think if this had been like a season earlier, it would have been a lot rougher going.
yeah. But just in general, if you are into like bad filmmaking, like
Mm-hmm.
bad movies, Wild Wild World of Batwoman is bad in a unique way. It
I've seen a handful of movies along these lines where it's the pseudo comedy, clear cash in. But yeah, there is a certain special incompetence to this one.
well, yeah, because it's like,
It wants to be titillating, but it's afraid of going too far.
hmm
It's a very timid, teehee booby kind of thing.
yeah, it doesn't know what it wants to be, and what it
Well, what it wants
it
to be is a
isn't.
cheap cash in.
The thing is like even as a cheap cash in, it doesn't really take much from the Batman DNA except the bat symbol. Because
Maybe really old Batman, like before Robin. And that's really more coincidental.
yeah, but like it's not really riffing heavily on Batman 66. Admittingly, it was made in basically the same year, but
No, this was made in direct response to Batman
yeah,
'66.
I'm just saying that not much of Batman 66 would have aired by the time
Yeah,
that they had done this.
I don't think it would have mattered.
But no, it doesn't really matter that much because it doesn't fall like the things that Batman 66 does. It's not shy about its formula. You can figure out its formula from episode 1. There's no death trap escape drama in the middle of it, which you would
Hmm.
expect anything that was riffing on Batman would riff on the death traps, because that happened literally every story. Because they were all two-parters, and there was always a death trap between part 1 and part 2.
Well, I think this might be a case where one could argue Warren was actually being smart.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 50-50, whether this was smart or, pure dumb luck because of lack of effort on his part. But he actually got sued by the Associated Distributors Productions.
Right.
Over the title. The fact that, he called it Batwoman.
Right.
However, he won the suit. So, and actually there's I don't remember which version of it, because the uncut version I saw gave it a different title card than the one that's on Mystery Science. And I think that one had, actually I think I still have a screenshot of that. Let's pull that up. Yeah. It has 1966 Medallion TV Enterprises, not licensed or associated with National Periodical Productions. So I guess that might be a later one. But he got sued over the title, but he won. I guess he proved that his Batwoman was sufficiently not Batman-y enough.
Huh.
Now, mind you, he still later released the film under the title She Was a Hippie Vampire.
Right.
And she is not a hippie.
No, not really,
or a
no.
vampire, but... So it's clear that he didn't really... It's clear that the Batwoman-y part was really just a window dressing.
Yeah.
He had a vision of girls dancing around in bikinis and using some old film to make a quick buck.
Yeah.
And he did it. And Jerry Warren, we salute you with the mid-digit.
It is a remarkably bad film.
Yeah. I said, you might want to watch the uncut one. I mean, you might want to watch the uncut one just because you can pay a little more attention to the really cringy dialogue and the scene. And you can really pay attention to how the president of the Ajax Corporation really plays up being a pathetic little twerp.
God,
because especially the cutscene, he's really whiny. And just after the seance, there's this thing that legitimately made me laugh. And it's like, yeah, he can't talk. He has laryngitis. Oh, like our friend at the seance. And Bruno Vasoda gives the dude a look of shut the fuck up. And the president just has this he kind of recoils and cringes, and it's legitimately funny. Just how pathetic and wormy he is.
Jeez.
And that's in the Mystery Science cut, but you're paying attention to about two different things there, so.
Right. Oh, or instead of watching an un-MST-3K version of Wild Wild World of Batwoman, you could watch Dr. Goldfoot and his bikini machine, which is in color, which gives it a boost above this.
And has Vincent Price, which is just, inherently better.
Yes, indeed.
Because Vincent Price has been in a fair number of turds, but it's Vincent Price.
Yeah, he's never turning in a sub-Vincent Price level of performance.
I mean, I will watch the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo for Vincent Price.
Yeah.
And the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo is dog shit.
Almost literally. Oh.
Dang solid episode, classic short. At the very least, the short is... Seriously, the short and the sketches involved really are some of the best.
I don't think you're going to want to watch this movie. It's about you.
Oh, see my rib cage?
Oh,
no,
man.
The short especially, the short is absolutely one that if I just had about 10 to 15 minutes to sell somebody on just the premise of the show, even though it's not sci-fi, cheating is absolutely one of those shorts that I would seriously consider showing them.
Oh yeah, it's one of the classic shorts. It really is.
And like I said, we're dead in the middle of really solid writing. They are clearly in the groove. They know what they want. They know the attitude they want to project. Despite the movie, because this one is rough.
Yeah.
It really is a good episode. And
it is indeed.
As much as I grouse about the movie.
And hostess snowballs for everyone.
Oh, I think there was a lot of snow on this set.
A lot of snow involved in this. Ugh.
I'm done. How about you?
God rest you, Batwoman, wherever you are.
And may flights of bikini girls sing thee to thy rest.
Indeed. All right, I think we're done.
Yeah, I suppose we should probably stop now. I don't know. Have you stopped recording yet? Because I haven't. Hey, Pipples! Did you like that bit of nonsense? Well, then why don't you click like and subscribe and press that bell or whatever YouTube wants you to do?
You can also do us a big solid by joining our Patreon, where you'll get to join us for live streams, get early access to the newest videos, and other such things.